Okay, so let's pick up a little bit more with controllers, and I'm going to be moving on to step 5. We'll run a quick little get K here, and I'm going to be messing with the project controller and the project show. So let's close this and open up the project controller. And here what you'll see is a couple of examples of how I would render back things I have just commented out because I was playing with this particular branch. Different ways of getting this essentially the same thing going and working here. So you could do render and just pass in essentially the model as JSON, and this will render back to the view. It's not actually being called the model, but it knows what it's doing. So this is sending back the project list and the project count, and I'm doing as JSON. Another more explicit way would be to actually specify the view, which in this case is index, which the views usually match the action name, but they don't have to. And you could actually, another thing you can do here is a redirect, but you have to be careful that when using redirects that you don't redirect to a redirect and get into circles, because basically the application will get mad at you eventually and say that you're running in circles and throw errors and stuff like that. So but in here with this example, I have a model which is just a map and just the parameters, and I'm using a little GORM here, which I'll be showing a little bit more in a future video. I'm not sure. I think it's not like 3 more after this. But basically here I'm doing a project.list, passing the parameters in and getting the list of projects. And here I'm doing a project.count, so getting the list of the count of projects and sending that back. Here is another example. This one I'm more apt to follow this example than say the others, because as most people, my front end is a single page JavaScript application, like say using Angular or Ember or any of the other, whatever is the flavor of the month JavaScript framework at this point. So usually those take JSON. So basically here I'm just taking a map and doing as JSON and rendering that back. Definitely using the parentheses here, because as Ken Cousin would say, parentheses in Groovy are optional till they're not. Here is one case where I found that they are not optional, especially when you're rendering a map, because I think the square brackets confuse the compiler. So basically you can use that here, and I have a nice little typo there, but anyways, we'll just keep going. And basically you do the as JSON and you can render this back. Here's another example of using the view and model. I use this particular method of like the rendering the map as JSON rather than say using JSON marshalers, which you can also use, just because I find this a more flexible and easier to read way to do it. Just because usually the JSON marshalers only you can only do those, I think, for one domain. I could be wrong about that. I haven't looked at them in quite a while, but in certain instances, like other than these simple examples, you might have an action that deals with multiple domains. Compiles those together, does various operations to each, or maybe operations in where you take and pass maybe to another service method 2 domain objects, and that does something else. But so this is a very flexible way of putting together JSON, I think. There's also the JSON views, which is something I haven't looked at quite that much, which came in Grails 3.1, which that just at a brief looked like it was similar to the GSPs. So that kind of gives me hope that it'll take a model and give you the ability to use multiple domains, but I can't speak to that since I haven't used it yet. But if it did, it'd give you, something similar to this in terms of readability, but like say a separate file. We'll see how that comes together. So let's see. I think that's pretty much it for this. So let's open up the project. Oh, wait a minute. No, it was the show method. And for projects, just so I can show you the model that gets passed, you can access any of the keys by using $ and curly brackets and the key value and put all those together. And this will allow you to actually insert those particular values into your GSPs. And I haven't really talked too much about GSPs here, but this gives you a quick look at a GSP. It's essentially just HTML with some little extras, like with this how it was generated up. It has this G form. Since I took out the project, this will not actually. Some of this will not actually work because it's trying to reference variables that no longer exist, I believe. But anyways, this is just me kind of playing around with alternate ways to deal with rendering back from a controller. So that's pretty much all I have for this video. And I think next time I'm going to be talking about exception handlers. So till then.